Archangel Michael says, I need to talk to you right now. Don't you dare ignore me. Listen carefully. Not with your ears. With the place inside you that has been restless even when everything looked fine on the outside. You have been living in a way that kept you surviving, but not receiving. You have prayed for blessings, but you have protected habits that block them. You have asked for peace, but you keep feeding the noise. You have asked for elevation, but you keep returning to what drains you because it feels familiar. Heaven does not punish you for this, but heaven also does not force open doors you keep closing with your own choices. This is why I needed to speak now. There are things in your life that must change immediately. Not slowly. Not someday. Not when it feels comfortable. Immediately. Because the window that is open will not stay open forever, and it is not open by accident. It is open because you are ready, even if you are afraid. I know what you tell yourself. You say, this is just how I am. You say, I'll change when things get better. You say, God understands. And yes, God understands your pain. But understanding is not the same as agreement. Heaven understands why you learned these patterns, but heaven is now asking you to release them. There are conversations you keep entertaining that poison your spirit. There are places you keep going back to that quietly lower your frequency. There are thoughts you rehearse at night that undo the prayers you speak in the morning. You cannot receive new wine while guarding old containers that are cracked. I am not asking you to become perfect. I am asking you to become honest. Honest about what is no longer aligned. Honest about what you already know needs to end. Honest about what you are afraid to let go of because it has been your emotional shelter, even though it hurts you. Some of the things you call love are actually attachments. Some of the things you call loyalty are actually fear of being alone. Some of the things you call patience are actually delays rooted in avoidance. And heaven sees all of it clearly, not to judge you, but to free you. This message is not coming because you failed. It is coming because you are about to succeed, and success requires a cleaner vessel. You are being asked to change how you wake up, how you speak, how you think, how you react. Not because God is controlling, but because what is coming next will require strength you cannot carry while weighed down by old behaviors. There is a blessing with your name on it that cannot land where chaos is still tolerated. You wonder why things almost worked but didn't. Why doors opened halfway and then stalled. Why confirmation kept coming but completion did not. It is because alignment is not partial. Heaven does not pour fully into a life that is only partially surrendered. This is the part most people don't want to hear, but you ask for truth. You must stop feeding what drains you. You must stop explaining yourself to people who benefit from misunderstanding you. You must stop revisiting versions of yourself that God already released. You must stop negotiating with habits that heaven already warned you about. And yes, it feels like loss at first. Change always does. But what you call loss is actually weight leaving your hands so you can finally receive what requires open palms. I am standing guard over your next season. That is not symbolic. That is assignment. But I cannot carry you through doors you refuse to walk toward. You do not need to fight anyone. You do not need to prove anything. You do not need revenge, validation, or applause. You need obedience to the quiet instructions you already hear when the noise settles. That nudge telling you to rest more, that is not laziness. That is preservation. That discomfort around certain people, that is not pride. That is discernment. That urge to simplify, that is not regression. That is preparation. Heaven is not asking you to add more. Heaven is asking you to subtract wisely. The light that guides you right now is not calling for more noise, more tasks, or more effort. It is calling for less, fewer distractions, fewer stories that no longer serve you, and fewer agreements with the pain you have already outgrown. The divine does not build upon clutter. It clears the space before it constructs new life. That is why this season feels like loss when it is actually liberation. Every release you are resisting is something heaven has already marked as complete. There are routines that once protected you but now imprison you. You wake up and move through the day by habit instead of intention. Heaven sees how often your spirit whispers, "I want more," while your flesh sighs, "Not today." The angels see you on the edge of change, pressed between what was and what could be. You are not lazy, you are simply out of alignment with what you were created for. When purpose stirs, comfort shakes. That shaking is not a punishment, it is a signal. There are words you must stop speaking over yourself because they anchor you to smaller versions of who you truly are. Every time you say, "I can't," heaven hears, "I don't trust what you've placed inside me." Every time you call yourself undeserving, you question the wisdom of the one who formed you. Do not speak limitation over a life that was spoken into existence by unlimited love. Your identity is not insecurity, it is divinity dressed in dust. Every time you declare something untrue about yourself, light dims a little inside you, yet mercy always rushes to relight it. That is the nature of grace, to remind you who you are when you forget. You have promises to your own soul that you have not kept. You told yourself you would stop accepting half-love. You promised to treat your body as holy ground, not as an afterthought. You vowed to prioritize peace even if it meant walking alone for a while. And yet, you have delayed. But listen. Heaven holds every self-promise as sacred. You are not being judged for past delays, you are being invited to redeem time through courage. Delays are not cancellations, they are calls to realign with the truth again. Boundaries are not walls, they are wisdom. You are learning that saying no is not rejection, it is redirection. It takes strength to hold boundaries when your voice shakes, but healing often makes your hands tremble before it steadies your heart. Heaven stands beside you when you draw that line and whispers, "You are not being unkind. You are being wise." Sometimes God will remove what you refuse to release, and it will feel like loss until you see the lesson. The timing matters. Do not treat your chapters as though they are endless. Every season has divine expiration dates. The opportunities you sense stirring are sensitive to timing. Delay too long and the door may close, not as a punishment, but as protection from stagnation. Heaven's timing is not always gentle, but it is always kind. And right now, a sacred shift is waiting on your obedience. You are walking through a narrow passage, one that squeezes away weight you were never meant to carry. On one side lies repetition, old habits that recycle pain and call it peace. On the other side lies reward, alignment, purpose, expansion. The passage is tight because it was never meant to carry your past with it. Heaven is not stripping you of peace. It is stripping you of excuses. The discomfort you feel is spiritual surgery. It may ache, but it heals. Do not wait for motivation. Heaven is your motivation. Do not wait for confirmation. This message is your confirmation. Too often you pray for signs while ignoring instruction. But heavenly timing responds to alignment, not hesitation. Angels move when you move. Heaven's miracles greet momentum, not passivity. So when the whisper comes, leave this behind. Begin today. Speak kinder. Be still. Do not overthink obedience. Step. You are protected, but protection does not mean permission to stay still. Protection means you can walk forward without fear of collapse. You are loved, but love does not indulge what harms you. Love calls you higher, not back. You are chosen, but chosen people must choose back. Heaven can pour destiny all around you, but if you refuse to stretch your hands toward it, it cannot unfold. This is partnership. This is faith in motion. Change how you treat your body. Your body is the vessel through which divine purpose flows. When you neglect it, you dim your ability to channel heaven's strength. Feed yourself with reverence. Rest when you are called to rest. Movement is not vanity, it is vitality. You are not meant to drag yourself through days, you are meant to walk with life pulsing through every cell, reflecting divine energy itself. Change how you treat your time. Time is one of heaven's holiest currencies. What you do with your hours writes the testimony of your life. Do not waste it replaying old conversations or chasing validation that was never yours to earn. Honor your hours and heaven will multiply their worth. Every small investment in focus, in prayer, in stillness, compounds spiritually more than you imagine. Change how you talk to yourself when no one hears you. Those whispered sentences shape your atmosphere. The universe pays attention to the frequency of your self-talk. Speak gently. Speak powerfully. Speak as someone aware that heaven listens when you speak, even to yourself. You cannot sow criticism into your spirit and expect confidence to bloom. What you think is merely venting is often prophecy in disguise. Change how you respond instead of react. Reaction is fear fighting to stay alive. Response is wisdom moving with grace. Every moment presents you two choices, to reflect your wounds or to reflect your healing. Choose the latter. Response reclaims power that reaction throws away. Heaven does not need you to master every emotion. It only asks that you pause before you hand anger the microphone or fear the steering wheel. Change how long you sit in places that no longer grow you. Peace and expansion are not always found in comfort zones. Sometimes growth means outgrowing even good things. Heaven honors endings too. The seat you are meant to occupy in this next season requires mobility, not attachment. Bless what was, release what no longer aligns, and trust that empty hands are ready to receive new fullness. This transformation is not about becoming someone else. It is about remembering who you were before fear taught you to play small. The world conditioned you to prioritize survival over spirit, productivity over peace, achievement over authenticity. But heaven remembers your original blueprint, the radiant, fearless essence created in divine image. That self is not lost. It is waiting beneath the debris of doubt, ready to rise the moment you stop identifying with your pain. You say, "It feels like too much." And heaven gently replies, "That's because this time, it's real." Sacred change always feels heavy because it carries the weight of destiny. But with every act of courage, the pressure converts into power. Stay with this message until the end. Let it stir uncomfortably if it must. Truth stretches you before it strengthens you. Your spirit already recognizes the authenticity of these words. It is your mind that hesitates. Allow both to align again. If you commit to these changes, not halfway, not temporarily, heaven will respond faster than you expect. Peace will return not as a flash of relief but as a foundation that holds steady even through storms. Confusion will dissolve because clarity always follows obedience. Opportunities will begin to align without force because when you are in position, heaven orchestrates provision. You will feel lighter, clearer, stronger, not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you stop carrying what was never yours to bear. You are not late. Divine timing is not measured by earthly clocks. Heaven never views you as behind schedule. But indecision can delay your unfolding. Every time you hesitate, you signal to the universe that you are not yet ready to receive. Make your readiness visible through action. Even the smallest step, one prayer said with sincerity, one task completed in faith, lifts you closer to alignment. Listen. Adjust. Act. This is your trinity of transformation. Listening opens spiritual guidance, adjusting aligns you with that guidance, acting seals it in reality. Heaven will not move what you refuse to move with. You are a co-creator in your own deliverance. The angels assigned to you are not idle. They are waiting for your agreement. Heaven speaks now not as pressure but as protection. You are being guarded from cycles meant to end. Resistance feels painful because it's holding hands with endings you were meant to release. The divine does not drag you, it invites you. Choose willingly. Choose bravely. Choose consistently. And know this, nothing truly meant for you can be lost through obedience. Only attachments fall away, destiny remains. This is the renewal of covenant between your soul and your source. It is heaven's whisper turned into command, not to control you, but to free you. For too long you have confused divine patience with divine approval. Just because God allowed certain things to exist longer than they should have doesn't mean they were meant to last forever. Grace allowed you time to learn, now faith invites you to leave. You may ask, how do I begin? Begin with honesty. Name what's heavy. Admit what hurts. Authentic confession is permission for heaven to intervene. Then forgive, yourself first, then others. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is a key that unlocks forward motion. Every grudge is a spiritual chain linking you to the pain of the past. As you release it, you strengthen your wings. Then begin decluttering your days. Every yes creates a no. Choose intentionally where you invest your presence. Ask yourself each morning, what will bring me closer to peace today? What will distance me from my purpose? Let your answers shape your choices. Heaven supports structure that honors your spirit. Understand that transformation rarely announces itself with fireworks. It often arrives quietly, in the decision to wake early for prayer, to say no to gossip, to choose health over habit, to stop apologizing for your growth. These seemingly small choices become sacred rituals that rewrite your reality. There will be resistance. Ego will seek comfort. Familiar pain will whisper, just stay a little longer. But you are being called to discomfort that develops you. The butterfly does not curse the cocoon, it surrenders to it. The pressure that feels unbearable is the very power that strengthens your wings. Do not quit during compression, expansion follows. Heaven is closer than your doubt suggests. Angels record every attempt, every prayer, every silent surrender. They celebrate every time you choose patience instead of panic, trust instead of fear. You are not unseen. Every unseen obedience invites visible blessing. You may not feel it instantly, but spiritual breakthroughs happen long before physical evidence appears. When you begin walking differently, the world around you will shift. People who once resonated with your old frequencies may drift away. Do not chase what heaven releases. Separation is often sacred. You cannot carry everyone into your next level. You can love people without losing yourself inside their storms. Sometimes loving them means letting go with grace and continuing forward in peace. The path ahead is not only about external progress but internal purification. Heaven values who you are becoming more than what you are achieving. The universe rewards alignment, not activity. You will find soon that what you were once chasing begins to find you because your vibration finally matches your vision. Stay faithful in the unseen. Do not measure progress by visibility. Roots grow underground long before fruit appears. Heaven admires secret obedience, when you show compassion privately, when you resist bitterness silently, when you choose prayer instead of complaint. These unseen moments build spiritual credibility. Heaven trusts consistent hearts. There will be days you will want to retreat back into old habits. On those days, remember this: every step forward rewires your identity. Every act of resilience is remembered in heaven as worship. Transformation is not a straight line but a sacred dance between stepping out and starting again. Each time you recommit, your spirit grows stronger. If this message has found you, it is no accident. There are no accidents in moments like this. There are only intersections. Where timing meets truth, where readiness meets recognition. Synchronicity is heaven's quiet language of affirmation, and it has been speaking to you long before you noticed the sound. It reached you now because the season you have been walking through is complete. You have crossed the invisible line between preparation and becoming. You have been trained by struggle, refined by delay, and softened by endurance. Every closed door taught you discernment. Every unanswered prayer taught you depth. Every tear taught you clarity. And now, without fanfare, without applause, you are prepared to rise, not to be seen by people, but to be aligned with purpose. You did not arrive here by force. You arrived here by faith that survived confusion. You arrived here by patience that outlasted disappointment. You arrived here by choosing to keep going even when no one understood why you still believed. Heaven watched all of it. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was overlooked. The waiting was not punishment. It was positioning. The silence was not abandonment, it was instruction. The delay was not denial, it was protection. And now, you stand at the threshold of alignment, no longer needing validation from voices that never carried your assignment. You are learning to trust the one voice that has never left you, your Creator's. So when you type 111, you are not playing with symbols. You are declaring readiness. You are speaking a language older than fear, deeper than doubt. You are stating before heaven and earth, I am prepared to release what no longer serves my soul. I am ready to stop carrying what I have outgrown. I am willing to loosen my grip on identities that were built in survival, not truth. When you type 777, you are declaring obedience, not blind obedience, but conscious alignment. You are saying, I choose guidance over comfort, truth over familiarity, calling over convenience. I am willing to follow what is right even when it costs me what is easy. These numbers are not random. They are symbolic portals of faith, markers of agreement with divine timing. They represent inner consent. And when you engage them with sincerity, you are opening spiritual correspondence already marked answered. Understand this clearly, you are not doing this alone. You have never been alone, even in moments when loneliness tried to convince you otherwise. The divine presence that guided you through uncertainty will not abandon you at clarity. The same hand that steadied you when you felt lost is still holding you now. The angel beside you is not silent. Guidance does not always arrive as words, sometimes it arrives as peace. Pay attention to the subtle calm that follows obedience. That stillness after decision is not emptiness, it is heaven's echo saying, I am here. That quiet relief after choosing what is right, even when it is hard, is confirmation that your spirit recognized truth. Do not scroll away from this lightly. Not because of fear, but because of reverence. Heavenly messages are living words. They do not fade when the screen changes. They remain active in your spirit until they are fulfilled. They revisit you in moments of doubt. They resurface in decisions that matter. They whisper when you're tempted to return to what you already survived. This message found you precisely where resistance met readiness. Where the old version of you loosened its grip and the new version waited patiently. Let it root. Let it settle. Let it reconstruct your courage brick by brick. Let it remind you why you are still here, not merely to endure, but to evolve. Not merely to exist, but to embody light. Not merely to speak of heaven, but to reveal it through the way you live, love, forgive, and choose. Today, your transformation does not begin with grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It begins with quiet resolve. It begins with the private decision to honor your growth even when no one claps. It begins with choosing alignment in small moments that no one sees but heaven records. When you choose alignment, assistance accelerates. When you choose obedience, protection fortifies your path. When you choose faith, impossible doors open without force. This is not fantasy. This is spiritual law. Alignment creates momentum. Integrity attracts provision. Trust activates timing. You may still feel fear, and that does not disqualify you. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is movement despite it. You may still feel unsure, and that does not mean you are unprepared. Faith does not require certainty, it requires willingness. Heaven does not ask you to know every step. It asks you to take the next one with sincerity. And as you do, clarity will meet you where obedience leads. I am with you in this transition, not as pressure, but as protection. Not as fear, but as strength. Not as control, but as guidance. I am near, not distant. Present, not passive. Every time you question, can I really do this? Hear the whisper beneath the noise, you already are. You have been doing it quietly for longer than you realize. It began the moment you chose awareness over numbness. It continued when you chose truth over denial. It deepened when you chose growth over comfort. You did not stumble into this moment. You walked into it step by step, even when your legs trembled. So breathe. Let your breath remind your body that you are safe. Stand taller, not in pride, but in remembrance of who you are becoming. Walk forward, not recklessly, but resolutely. Every breath you take in alignment is worship. Every act of courage is cooperation with heaven. Every time you trust what feels uncertain, light gathers around you quietly, building what you cannot yet see. You are not behind. You are not late. You are precisely where readiness becomes reality. The choice remains in your hands, and heaven honors your free will completely. Nothing here is forced. Nothing is coerced. Love never is. But if this message stirred you, if something in you recognized itself in these words, do not let it end as emotion alone. Let it become movement. Let revelation become rhythm. Let awareness become alignment. Let insight translate into action, even if that action is small. Be the evidence of answered prayer by the way you choose differently today. Because heaven is ready. Assistance is ready. Protection is ready. Timing is ready. The only question that remains is not whether you are worthy, you always were. The only question is whether you are willing. If you are ready, say it aloud. Not for me, not for anyone watching, but for your own spirit to hear itself speak truth into your bones. Speak it gently. Speak it honestly. Speak it without performance. I release what no longer serves me. I align with divine timing. I walk forward with courage, truth, and peace. As those words vibrate through you, something unseen shifts. Old agreements dissolve. New pathways activate. Heaven registers your yes, not as pressure, but as partnership. And from this moment forward, you will notice subtle changes. Your tolerance for misalignment will lessen. Your attraction to peace will deepen. Your discernment will sharpen. Your courage will feel quieter but stronger. This is how transformation looks when it is real. So type 111 if you are ready to change what needs to change, not perfectly, but sincerely. Type 777 if you are choosing obedience over comfort, not fearfully, but faithfully. And if this message entered your heart, do not keep it locked inside. Share it, not as obligation, but as offering. Someone else's breakthrough may depend on your courage to speak when you once stayed silent. Light multiplies when it moves. Heaven has spoken. Now, live like you heard it.